Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I want to share with you the Peaceful Garden Suite. This is one that is just released in the September through December 2025 mini catalog. And this one is very suitable for not just Christmas, but also has sympathy words and also just general thinking of you words. And I also feel that it would be very appropriate for weddings with the doves. So this is one I feel that you could use all year round. Now, of course, we have the stamps and the dies, and you can see the dies have some doves, envelopes, labels, and some greenery, and then the stamp set is actually just all words. What you might like to know is the embossing folder actually coordinates with these labels, so you can create some layered looks really quite easily, as well as some window effects. We also have this beautiful Misty Moonlight and Silver ribbon. And I apologize that this is actually all I have of it, but it's a sheet of flower gems and it comes in 3 shades of blue and white, and I just have these white ones to show you, but you get the gist of what they might be like. And then we have these beautiful 12 by 12 papers, as well as the 12 by 12 glimmer paper in Secret Sea cloud cover, and I believe that's blueberry bushel, but it's, you know, more of a brighter blue. So let's go ahead and make a project with this. Now, I'm going to make a project today that is using different colors that's in the suite, because I have quite a few samples to share with you with the colors that are in the suite. I'm going to start with a piece of watercolor paper that is basically our watercolor paper cut in half. So it's 5 by 3.5. And a little tip is when you're going to do a watercolor wash, just get the area where you want to have color wet first, and then when you put the color on, it just moves that much easier. Because I'm doing a fairly large area, I'll just grab my ink bottle and add a little more color that way. It's handy to have all the ink refills for your ink pads for various reasons, and that's one of them. Now, I would just let this dry naturally. I'm going to use my heat tool just for speed on this video. Before it's 100% dry, I might just go back and add a little more color, just so there's a bit of color variation. Okay, now I'm going to take this little mask that I made, and I just cut a piece that was the same size, and then just use one of the textured notes dies or any rectangle die that you have, and just created a window out of there, just creating a simple mask. And I'm going to take the Peace, Love, and Joy stamp from this set. Let's see how, that's pretty light. That's good. That's what I want. And I'm just going to stamp that over my watercoloring. It's the same color, so it's very pale, and it's just a background detail, really. I just want it to be very subtle, so it looks like that. Then I'm going to take one of my markers and just flick a little bit of ink on it. If you're not comfortable doing this with your markers, you could just use your water painter and just pick up a bit of ink and just flick it that way. Okay. We're looking like that. I think we're done with the grid paper. Now I want to just add my layers. I've cut a piece of the two-toned Pool Party that is just bigger than my watercolor paper. I'm just going to sand these edges just a little bit. Okay, and then mat those two together. And I'm going to mat it just on a little bit of an angle like this. If you don't like that look, then of course you can just put it on straight. Then I have my card base that is basic white. And then I have cut a slightly larger mat, and I have used the other side of the Pool Party two-toned. So you can see that it's a bit lighter than this first one that I did. And I have embossed that with the embossing folder, the Peaceful Garden embossing folder. And then also just sanded that very lightly. and I'll put that on the card front. I'm also going to put it just slightly at an angle, and really my reason for doing that is just so you can see a little bit more of the embossing than otherwise. If you wanted to, you could cut these pieces a little bit slimmer so that you could see even more of this, something like that. So I can see just a little bit here and a little bit there. But I want my words fairly straight. I think that's pretty straight for the top piece. Okay, now we're just going to add our doves. I'm going to put these up on dimensionals. I've positioned them like this, but of course you can position them however you'd like. Now I like to add just a little eye to each of those birds. It's just a small thing, but I think they look a little bit better that way. Now this die set has little olive branches or little envelopes for the doves, and I think both are just adorable. In this case, I want to use the olive branches. And they've left a little blank spot on the branch, which I'm assuming is kind of just right where the beak is supposed to land. So that's where I'm putting it. And I'm going to put it on both birds for this one. Okay, then I've heat embossed the Peace, Love, and Joy in gold. I'm just going to use my scissors to cut this apart. And then put these on. Now I'm going to choose to put these on just flat because I've got the doves up on dimensionals. Peace, love, and joy. I think it looks good as is, but one tiny detail that you can add. I've got just a little piece of ribbon, and I'm going to fold that in half with a glue dot. And then use a glue dot. I'm just going to tuck that up under here. I did try and add the flowers, but I felt that they really were quite distracting in this particular design because I already have a relatively busy background and a few things going on. So I'm just using one of these dots from the frosted iridescent dots. And I think I'll just use the small clear one and just put that up here with the ribbon, just for a little something. And there we go. There is a relatively quick card you can make. Really nice for Christmas, something a bit different, but also, like I mentioned, could also be very suitable for a wedding or also sympathy. And here's one that I made earlier using fresh freesia and petunia pop. This one I've used Pool Party with just a little bit of old olive, and that one's fresh freesia. Now I have a few other samples to share with you. This first one is part of my 12 weeks of Christmas series. So I've got a couple of projects here that are going to be part of that series, and I'm keeping some for the series. So it's 12 weeks of tutorials emailed to your inbox. And this year, all 12 of them, I'm going to use the Peaceful Garden Suite. So you can follow along with using this suite, or you can substitute in any other products that you might have. But this is one of the projects. I'm going to give you all the instructions and measurements for this one. Pretty straightforward, this one, just using the folder and the labels. And then this one is a little bit stepped up. This is a design by my team member, Shona Bettany. This time she's cut a little window in the embossed piece with the embossing folder, and then she's put the label recessed down and used the other side of the two-toned cardstock. Okay, and then this is even a step up again. This is one that I've been teaching in my classes this month. It's a little bit of a pop-up card, so you can take those dies that coordinate with the folder and create a little nesting window card. Then this is a fun thank you card. I used this one and sent it to some friends, but you could just change up the words for wedding, sympathy, or Christmas. But just showing versatility can also be a thank you card. Now this one was inspired by Tammy Wilson. She used different words and different papers, but the idea of it is from her, and I've used that folder in behind. So you don't have to use that folder just with those label dies. You can use it, you can see how you can just see little bits of it peeking around the sides, and then paired this with the party alphabet dies. And then these two are just ones using those beautiful papers, a Christmas and a sympathy, showing off both sides of the papers for a really quick and easy project. So there are my samples with the Peaceful Garden Suite. Please make sure you've signed up to my email list to get those free 12 Weeks of Christmas series starting 1st of October. If you know someone else who would enjoy this video, the tips, or who has the suite, please feel free to share with them. Leave me a comment. And of course, subscribe. This is Jackie Williams, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.